Hi, I'm Luis.
And I'm Diana, and today we're going to be talking about romantic movies. I don't know if you love them or if you hate them. Hopefully, you love them like I do. But I kind of just wanted to find out like the difference between a guy and a girl watching romantic movies and if we really feel the same or what. So, Luis and I actually watched five romantic movies. So, we're going to be talking about them and how we rated them. And then he has his top 10 favorite romantic movies of all time. And I also have my top 10. So basically, we have 20 movies that you will hear about. And maybe you've seen some of them, maybe you haven't, and we're going to give you some good ideas. But in my list, I have kind of movies that I mean when I talk about romantic movies. So I have like A Walk in the Clouds with Keanu Reeves.
Mm.
And I also have Cinderella. Can you believe I picked Cinderella as one of our romantic movies to
The
talk, like not to talk about, but on the list?
the live action or in general, all Cinderellas.
Well, that's the thing. That's kind of why I cheated. I picked Cinderella because there's so many different versions, and I think that they kind of just keep making the Cinderella movies because
Yeah,
I don't know, us girls, we just like the Cinderella movies. Like there's A Cinderella Story with Hilary Duff
right.
and Chad Michael Murray, and there's Ever After with Drew Barrymore and Doug Ray Scott. So I have Cinderella as one of the romantic movies. Also, Fools Rush In with Matthew Perry and Selma Hayek.
Hmm.
Pride and Prejudice didn't make it on my official top 10 list, but that's because I really love the book, and the movie never just does the
Yeah.
book
Wow.
justice. So I have Pride and Prejudice as well as The Holiday with Jack Black,
Hmm.
Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, and Kate Winslet. Then I have The Lake House with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock. The Wedding Singer with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore, and 13 Going on 30 with Mark Ruffalo and Jennifer Garner. So those are kind of just mentioning romantic movies and kind of like honorable mentions in a way, but we actually have like our top 10 from Luis and top 10 from me. So but before we do that, we wanted to talk about like movies that we actually watched, the five movies that we watched under the romantic genre, I guess you could say. So we'll start off with For Rich or For Poorer, which is a 1997 movie with Christy Alley and Tim Allen. So what is your rating on that movie, Luis?
I didn't really like it. I mean, it was kind of cringy for me, I guess. I don't really like Kirstie Alley, so uh, I guess in short, out of 5 stars, I would give it 1.5 stars.
Ooh, that is really bad. Okay, so I didn't give it that bad. I thought it was like an average movie. And I mean, Christy Alley is not the person that you think of as a romantic kind of movie person, like, to be in a romantic lead. But this was actually about a couple that were like on kind of like between like almost getting a divorce kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I think if her character really well, and I loved Tim Allen, so I gave the movie a 3 stars. Plus, I remember telling you I kind of like stories about the Amish and stuff, and in this movie they're kind of trying to hide away from the people that are trying to find them, so they end up hiding in an Amish community. So for me, like I said, I give it a 3 stars.
That's
So
cool.
a lot different than you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. No, because those are like kind of my what you like is what I kind of I'm not too like fond of, I guess. I mean, just the idea of without like electricity and technology is kind of like I don't know, but that's personal preference, right? So
So
it's,
that's why you cringed, huh? Because you were like,
uh,
Amish, I don't want to end up in that kind of place,
no, well,
and you didn't like them being there either.
some of the joking, some of the acting, I don't know. There's little things here and there, but overall, like I can see how it like obviously you could have a different opinion like the way we do, right? So you could like it and there's nothing wrong with it like at all. Like some people love things that others don't. So but I didn't like it. Like 1.5
Yeah,
1 point for me, yeah. And I do like Tim
yeah,
Allen a lot. I like him.
yeah.
Yeah, but the story itself, and then also Wayne Knight, he was like pretty much like the bad guy, and I don't really like him all that much either. You know who he
Yeah.
was? Yeah.
So okay, so that was like an older movie. So if you missed it, I guess Luis is saying, "Don't worry, you didn't miss much." That
Right.
came out in 1997, and there's a lot of other movies. So we'll talk about one that came out this year, and one that you actually suggested I need to watch, and it's called Love Guaranteed, and it has Rachel Lee Cook and who else?
Uh,
Damian Wayans Jr.
right. Yeah, and
So
well, the reason I suggested it to you is because you kind of I don't know if you want me to say this or not, but you think you could be a very good matchmaker for people. Like you think you have that skill. Like if you kind of see or know two people that like their traits or their characteristics that you could like find like good matches for people.
yeah,
So the premise of this movie was that there a guy which is is it Marvin Wayans or Marlon Wayans?
I think
Um,
it's yeah.
yeah, the
And I
son.
Damien, but it's Marlon, isn't it?
No, I think it's pretty much the one that comes out in New Girl, but I don't know his name because I know. Okay, who's the one from My Wife and Kids?
I don't know. Like there's so
Uh,
many of them
I
that
know
I
that's what
can't
I'm
keep
saying.
track of who's who.
I can't. I think it's
But it's one of
David.
the Waynes and
Yes,
it's one of the younger ones. And he's
yes,
very cute. And if there's a reason to watch this movie, it's that, you
right.
know?
Yeah.
So
So pretty much he's the lead in the movie. Well, him and Rachel Lee Cook. And
mhm.
about Diana has comments about her. So first him. So he's suing a dating company because they guarantee that he will find love, and he's gone on tons and tons of dates, and he has never
Isn't it like
found.
1,000? Isn't it
Oh,
like that thing?
yeah, I think yeah, it is. It's a huge number, like 1,000 dates, and in all those dates, he never found love. So he decided to sue the dating company for I guess false advertising, since he didn't find love, and Rachel Lee Cook is the lawyer that ends up taking on the case, and it's very predictable that they would fall in love, so that's pretty much the
Mhm.
whole
Yeah.
a premise of it, and it's very predictable. So that's what I'm saying. It's not a that I mean, it doesn't take a genius to figure out what was going to happen. But what would you rate this movie? Because I know you have your opinions. Or first of all, what is your rating, and then why is that your rating?
Okay, I give it a 3 stars, like just average. Like I didn't rate it as low as you rated
Right.
for Richer for Poor, but 3 stars is as much as I can give it because I don't know, like I just didn't think it was great. And like when I was watching it, you kept texting me and I'm just like, no, I don't really like the way that Rachel Lee Cook is acting in this movie. Like I don't know, like it didn't seem like they really
Had
what
chemistry.
they didn't really have chemistry between them in my opinion.
Hmm.
And then like you said, it's super predictable, and then in the end, like when what like they end up, like I don't want to ruin the movie if anyone's gonna watch it and hasn't seen it, but like I don't like it when they are so dramatic in the end and
Hmm.
they have to clap because
Oh,
they
because there's a
kiss or
like,
they run
yeah,
into each other's arms or whatever. It's just cheesy, you know.
yeah, it's
So
cheesy,
basically I
cringy.
thought it was predictable, it was cheesy, didn't love the way they acted, and I didn't think they had good chemistry between the two of them. And those are all the reasons why I kind of am being a little bit like giving it a 3 stars is almost like too much even,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm just surprised because I give it 3 stars just because it's like it's not the greatest, but it's not the worst, so it's kind of just there. I would think you would have given it like a 2.5 or something.
I know you thought that because I was complaining a
Yeah,
lot when I was watching it. I was just like, "Are
right.
you kidding
Yeah,
me?" But yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to be
generous.
like how would I really rate it if I, and I would like I said it wasn't horrible like you said,
Right.
but it wasn't like great either. Like these are the kind of movies that you see on TV all the time,
Oh yeah,
so,
very forgettable.
you know,
Right.
exactly. So, that's
Hmm.
why I give it that and you too, right? Is there anything else that you wanted to say about it?
About
Since
that one,
it
no.
was the movie that you picked.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. The main reason I suggested it was that just the matchmaking. I thought you might be interested in that aspect of it, but I guess no, because it's not a person doing it. You would have been more interested if it had been an actual person, not a company setting them up, right? So I guess that's the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
definitely. And
Right.
yeah, I know. I think I would be a good matchmaker, but sometimes I'm just joking. Other times I'm like, maybe I would be. But
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
you never
so
know.
that was
Yeah.
interesting to watch
Exactly.
that for that reason.
Right.
But our next movie we have is Bounty Hunter, and it actually came out in 2010, and it has Jennifer Aniston and Gerard Butler. So what do we have to say about that?
Okay, well, this movie is it's more of an action romance, so this one might appeal a little more to guys because the other ones are kind of more, well, typical, like
Mm.
relationship style, like ditzy girl or different things. But this one's kind of more action. Well, Gerard Butler, I think he's kind of like, I guess they use him in romantic movies maybe to try to get a little bit of the guys to watch it too, or maybe because
Mhm.
the girls kind of get the guys to watch it, and then the girls like him, but the guys also, oh, well, he was from 300, that action movie, so maybe, so it's kind of weird how they're using him, right? But pretty much in this movie, it's a divorced couple, and she's like a reporter who's at like after a big case, but she misses her court date, and her ex-husband, which is Gerard Butler, he had become a bounty hunter at this point. So pretty much she's like investigating a case and misses her court date. So now she has a warrant for her address, and it kind of falls on Gerard Butler to be the one who actually like capture her and bring her to prison pretty much. So that's pretty
Yeah.
much the plot of that movie.
And I pretty much like any movie that Jennifer Aniston is in. I don't know, like for some reason I'm a big fan. So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was a great movie and I liked it. And so I thought this would be a movie that you might like.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gave it a rating of 4 stars, and that's pretty good for me because it means that it's like higher rated, and I would watch it again. And I thought it was good, but it's not like one of those movies that I want to own.
Right.
And those are the kind of movies that I would give 5 stars to. So 4 stars is my rating. What about you?
I agree. I would have said like, I know we could do decimals, right? But I would have said like 3.75 or 4. So I'm kind of I'm there. I'm there. Like a 4 would be right. I'd be fine with a 4 for that.
Okay, that's pretty good. So we move on to our next movie, which is the longest title for a movie
Okay.
that I've ever heard of. But
Okay.
actually, I think it's also a book,
Right.
and I love the movie. So I think I would even like the book even better because usually books are better than the movie. And it is called The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society, which came out last year in 2020. And so I suggested you watch that movie, and what did you think?
Well, first I guess I'll say the plot. I guess to remind you of it a little bit or refresh you on it.
Hmm. Yep.
If I'm kind of missing some of it, you just fill in or whatever you feel. I think
Hmm.
this was like during World War II, and pretty much the German soldiers had invaded this super small area. I don't know if it's an island or whatever this area is. Um,
It's an
and
island.
it's an island, okay, and it's called Guernsey. So during World War II, the German soldiers were in Guernsey, and in the very like beginning, or it's pretty much the setup. So it's kind of like not too much of a spoiler. There's like a group
Hmm.
of people that are they're getting together, and pretty much getting together was prohibited by the German soldiers, and they were kind of they had a pig with them that they were gonna eat. Was it a pig? I think it was, right?
It was.
Okay, so it was a pig that they were supposed to eat, and they were kind of sneaking it and trying to hide from the soldiers, but they're busted, and the soldiers say like, "Why are you all together?" Or they were gonna pretty much send them to be punished for what they had done, and they said,
Hmm.
"Well, we're actually a part of a book club." Off the top of their heads, they're saying it because
Yep.
the German authorities were encouraging people to like, I guess, be more literate or be more like constructive or something. They were kind of encouraging that, at least among the, I guess, the people. So they're like, oh well,
Right.
we're part of this book club society. So they're like, then they kind of just said the first thing that came to their heads, that they said, well, what's the name of your book club then, if this is what it is. And then each one of them like, oh, well, it's the Guernsey, and then oh, literary, and then book club, and
Yeah,
then
it's because during that time they really didn't have much food to eat. So the fact that they ate a pig was a big thing because one of them hid this pig, and then once it was good, they invited some of the neighbors, and then it ended up that one of the people brought like a pie made out of potato
potatoes.
peel.
Hmm.
So then they kind of based their title of their club that they supposedly were in on that. So they're like the Guernsey, and then the other one's like literary
Uh,
and then they added potato peel pie, and
yeah,
then they're like society.
society.
So
Yeah,
to me, I thought this movie was kind of funny. But
right.
yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, continue
yeah, and
if
then
you have any.
oh well, then that's kind of like well, that's the whole name of the club of the yeah the book club, and then it kind of cuts to a few years after the war, and there's a I guess a journalist, and that's Felicity Jones, I think that's who it is.
Mhm.
And she's like she's kind of engaged to an American, who's I guess he's there because of the well yeah I guess because of the world he because of the World War he's kind of there like as a diplomat or something, so pretty much she was very interested in doing like a story on the Guernsey Book Club Society, but she was already engaged to this diplomat. So pretty much the story is about her going to that
And
island.
meeting,
Hmm.
yes.
And meeting the people. But the whole reason she went there because she got a letter from I think was he a farmer? Um, the one who sent it.
He worked on the island, and he was part of this literary group. You know, this supposed. But then they started reading books after they met, like that,
Yeah.
and they didn't have enough books. So I think she was kind of sending books to them too.
Right. Yeah,
So
yeah. So pretty much that's kind of like how, and it's very interesting. Like it does get very interesting, and there's like a mystery also there, like about the
hmm
people from Guernsey and the soldiers, and there's it is very interesting. So there are things that she wants to like discover. So there is
yeah.
so there's that aspect of it, and like what happened to a certain person that went missing, and
hmm
but all and then at the same time there's like a romantic like a conflict as well, like who to like
Yeah.
it's
Right.
like a exactly, so it is dramatic in that area, and I would rate it like 4.25. So
Okay. That's
okay.
not bad.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I like movies that are not so predictable,
Mm-hmm.
and especially in this genre where we can get pretty predictable. So I gave it a 4.5 stars, which means I would probably end up like if I made a list of top 100 or top 50 romantic movies of all time. I think this would probably be on there for me. Like
Right.
I just think this is a worth while kind of movie, like worth watching because it's not predictable and it is sigh worthy. It's pretty good, I say. And so I would put it on my list of probably top 50 or even top 25 maybe.
Okay,
So
so
I think
spoiler.
I gotta watch it again though because like I watched it last year and it's not very fresh in my mind.
Right.
And so I started watching it again, but I didn't finish it. But so I really want to, because it was for me I thought it was good enough.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that was the movie that we watched, and then we had one last one that we saw, and it's called "The Last Letter from Your Lover," and that came out this year as well. So what did you think of that movie?
um at first it was kind of boring, kind of slow, but then it kind of did pick up. This one had Shailene Woodley, um, and there was somebody else in it that I kind of forget. But pretty much it's kind of like two stories are playing out at the same time. Like it's kind of
Right.
like I guess like lovers from the past that kind of like it follows their story and what happened that they kind of didn't connect. It's kind of like a misconnection type thing. And then
Yep.
in the present it's also another like a journalist who wants to because she found a letter, like the last letter, you
Mm.
know so she kind of wants to like discover what happened to these people that like were supposed to meet, or run away together, but then they didn't. So she kind of like tracks the letters and she finds more and more letters. So she's kind of going backwards because she first finds the last letter, and then she kind of
Yep.
goes and finds like the second to the last letter, then the one before. So she kind of traces it to who they were in the beginning, and then it was okay. Like it wasn't as bad as I first thought it was, but it wasn't like super
Mhm.
great either. I would say like a 3.5. What I would give it.
Wow, that's the same thing I gave it too. 3.5 stars. It was a little bit better than the average movie, but not like
Yeah,
great.
exactly.
So yeah. I mean, and they had two stories, like you said, going on at the same time. But then at the end, they kind of did this like really weird thing where
Hmm.
what would have happened if they would have ended up together when they were supposed to. And also, this was a story, the back, like it's kind of like a historical movie, like the one that we talked about
The
before,
Guernsey.
the
Hmm.
Guernsey one.
Hmm.
But this one was like both modern and historical. And I just it was about a woman who was already married and then she meets someone that she falls in love with. And to me that was a little bit like, oh, I know that happens, but
Hmm.
like it just didn't really like catch me. Like I was just like, okay, like I think I know where this is going.
Right. Right.
So I didn't love it, for that reason. And
Right.
it wasn't that predictable, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of movies about letters, like
Hmm.
some of them work and some of them don't. And Hallmark does a lot. Like I think Hallmark Channel had a show called Signed, Sealed, and Delivered, and I kind of saw like a marathon one weekend when my mom was watching it, and I was um, like I feel like this movie is kind of like that show. Like they have a show devoted to like things that went awry and
Hmm.
romances didn't work out because of letters getting lost in the
Right.
mail and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's the whole
I
like.
feel like,
Yeah, that's the whole
yeah,
Romeo and Juliet. Like the lost letters, what led to their deaths. Like a letter that wasn't delivered in time, and then like so. There's always something with letters way back since Shakespeare, I guess. So, but yeah, that's a very like it's a plot device that's used a lot. So yeah, I can see why you would
yeah,
think that. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, those were the five movies that we watched, and in a way, like I really, like I said, I just wanted to know like the difference between guys and girls when they watch romance movies. Like I don't know that necessarily that guys love watching romance movies, but then Luis watched them, and so he's giving us his opinion, and so I think it's valuable information to find out, because I think most of the time they try to like the core audience for romance movies are usually like ladies
Hmm.
and stuff. So I think that's what the audience that they try to appeal to. But I think it would be a good idea, like you said, to try to appeal to guys too, because sometimes they either have to
Hmm.
watch them or they feel like, well, maybe we're missing out on something,
Right.
and we can learn from them. I don't know. So
Yeah.
anyway, so now we have our top movies, like top 10, which is actually top 20 because Luis has his list and I have my list, and he actually has his going down from 10, 9, 8, and to the best one, and I have mine in alphabetical order, but we're gonna be going back and forth between our movies.
Hmm.
So, giving you top 20, like what we think top 20 best movies of all time are. So, Luis, you want to start first?
Okay, I'll start with my number 10 would be The Count of Monte Cristo. So
Ooh, I didn't know that was a movie.
yeah, it's been a movie. It was Jim Caviezel. He was well, he was from The Passion of the Christ. So he was the count. I forgot who the
Wow.
I forgot who the actress was though, but I mean that's a classic for sure. I mean it's a classic book.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
read the book. I love the book. That's why I didn't know like that was a movie. That's exciting.
you should watch it because you would like it because I haven't read the book, but the movie itself is it's epic, and it's got
Well,
everything.
like I said, I love the book. So now I really want to watch the movie, but that's your
Hmm.
10. Okay. So
Yeah.
yeah, continue, please.
Yeah, so I like the casting. The casting was good. The story itself is like classic, and it's got like it is romantic, but it's also got like betrayal. It's got action. It's got like revenge. It's got all these themes in it. So, but it is romantic because it's like they're they're in love, and then they're betrayed by the friend, and then they think he's
Yeah.
dead, and it's just it's an epic movie. It's based on an epic book, and I'd actually have it
All right.
higher, but I kind of just I just remembered it at the last minute, so I had filled in as 10, but it would be higher if I actually like readjusted it. But
Mm-hmm.
for sure, it's top 10. Like it's like no doubt in my top 10. It's just
Okay.
yeah. And what about your top? What about your 10? Not that it's in order, but what would be your 10?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm glad you started with that, and said that it was like I think you should read the book is what I'm thinking.
Yes.
Um, And mine actually is one that I've mentioned in the past, and it was based on a book, well, it's Clueless, it came
Hmm.
out in 1995, has Paul Rudd and Alicia Silverstone, but it's actually based on, like I said in the past, in another episode, it's based on Emma, like the book Emma by Jane Austen.
And
So
they
I just love Emma, and I love this movie. Like I just think that the way it's not like for me when I watched it the first time, it wasn't predictable, and it just I didn't see it coming. So every time I watch it, I still watch it that way, like I don't know what's gonna happen, even though I do. And so I just love that movie. I think it's great, and if you haven't watched it, it's a great movie to watch. So what do you have next?
Yeah, about Emma also they've made movies about Emma also. I think there was one just last year, but I don't know who was in it. But because when I heard that when I saw that there was an Emma movie, I was, oh, that's the movie she likes. Well, based on the book, obviously, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
they've made like two of
Yeah, but I
those.
think I think most movies when they name it Emma or they try to make it more like historical, like that kind of thing, like how they did like with Pride and
Oh yeah,
Prejudice.
yeah, it's
But with Clueless, they kind of gave it a twist and they made like a modern
yeah,
version of it. So then
and
I hadn't read the book at the time, so I didn't know what was gonna happen. And now that I read the book, I'm kind of like, oh yeah, that's kind of interesting that they did the modern twist on that.
wow,
So yeah.
that's interesting. Because there was also I don't know, like the Scarlet Letter. They made a movie Easy A, and that was with what's her name, Emma
Yeah.
Stone. Uh
Emma
huh.
Stone. Oh, come on. That's like your
Uh-huh.
favorite
I
person.
know.
What's
I
her
was just kind
name?
of what's that hot girl's name? But yeah, so
Uh,
that's kind of like Clueless in a way, like kind of making it like a high school modern setting, but it's kind of like the theme of
right.
the Scarlet Letter. So that's interesting how that goes. Well, my
Mhm.
number 9, that's what we're on.
Mhm.
The
I mean,
Choice.
I'm going backwards, like I said, alphabetical
Yeah.
order. But yeah,
Okay, my
you're a
number 9
nine.
is The Choice, and that's for this one, it's kind of like the opposite of the last one because this one I read the book. Like there's a book called The Choice, and that's by Nicholas
Okay.
Sparks. So I read the book, and I think reading the book is what made me pick this movie in my 10 because the book I really enjoyed.
Did you say
Um,
Nicholas Sparks, or who did you say that was by him?
yes, Nicholas Sparks.
Oh,
The
I've read a lot of his books. I don't
Yeah,
know that I've read that one, but maybe refresh my memory in
okay.
case I have.
Well, this one kind of starts. Well, I guess it'll be like pretty much it's like there's this girl and she's already kind of engaged or she's dating somebody, maybe even engaged, and then she kind of moves in next door to a veterinarian, and he's like a bachelor. So she kind of ends
Oh.
up she ends up kind of like at first they don't like each other, which is kind of like typical. There's like a little bit of tension, whatever, but then they fall for each other, and she ends up like breaking off her engagement and getting with him. I'm kind of giving you the whole thing, I guess. Um,
No, don't ruin it.
yeah, yeah. So she ends up breaking off the engagement with her fiance, and she gets with that the neighbor guy, right? So and then they have it kind of skips forward because there's like flashbacks that take place, and then they're already married and with kids, and then they have a car accident, and then there's like some kind of choice to be made. So it's kind of like that's pretty much.
Oh, I
Hmm.
feel like I've seen this movie now.
Okay,
I think I have, maybe.
right.
Does it have like James Marsden in it or
I think it is. I think it is James Marsden.
yes, because I used to have a huge crush on him when I was younger, so I think
Uh,
I kind of remember now.
yeah, I think he's the
Oh,
guy that actually gets. I don't know if he's the main guy or he gets dumped. I'm not too sure which one he is, but he is in this movie. So
okay.
some
Yes, I have seen it, but I've seen so many movies that
yeah,
after a while it's kind of like everything's new. So,
right, cause
hmm,
right, cause it's kind of like there's also The Vow with Channing Tatum and Jennifer McAdams. So that one kind of had a little bit of a similar kind of like that one's called The Vow.
you mean Rachel McAdams? Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
think I saw The Vow as well.
yeah,
But I mean, Nicholas Sparks is good, but he
hmm,
also makes you cry, and
yeah,
you just always know someone's gonna die.
right,
So
yeah,
you just have to be in the right mood to watch movies or read books that are by him. You
right.
know.
There's like a disclaimer. Hmm.
Exactly. Total disclaimer on that. Okay, so should I go on with my next
Hmm.
choice?
Yes.
Okay, again, like I pick a lot of the same stuff that I've mentioned in the past. This one is a movie from 1940, one of the oldest ones. Clark Gable and Vivian
Mm.
Lee. Gone with the Wind. And I mean, like I said, I don't like movies that are predictable. And I call this a historical romance.
Oh yes.
Even though, like, if you haven't seen it, like the ending isn't like I like movies that don't necessarily aren't like happy endings all the time,
Hmm.
or you don't know what's gonna happen. So I guess I'm kind of like one of the big Nicholas Sparks fans because I don't like things to be predictable and I just like there to be more flesh to it. I don't like it to just be cheesy or
Right.
just like
Typical.
I don't know. I like it to be thought provoking too. So Gone with the Wind is my movie because it's old, it's a classic, it has great costumes, great music, good acting, and all of the above. So I picked Gone with the Wind as one of my top romantic movies of all times. So what's next for you?
For me, next is
Eight, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast. Actually, is my eight. So since you had mentioned Cinderella as an honorable mention, that kind of reminded me. Well, you didn't know that, but Beauty and the Beast is my number eight because it's a classic, and you wouldn't like it's an animated Disney cartoon and everything, and they even made the live action one with Emma Watson and everything. So, but the story at its
Yeah.
core is a romance, so that's why I picked it.
Oh yeah, and I think they have different versions of it even in live action,
Hmm.
besides the one that Emma Watson's in. Like I think they had this movie that actually had one of the Olsen twins.
Yes, it was called
And
it was
Beastly,
yes,
right?
yes.
So yeah, that was a little bit of Beauty and the Beast, and I remember my sister telling me you have to watch this movie, and I was like, should I trust her? Because I don't know if she picks movies that are good or what. But I'm like, okay, I'll watch it.
Right.
And I thought that it was kind of interesting. So yeah, Beauty
Yeah.
and the Beast is a good choice.
Nice. Thank you. What's your next one?
So after mine is kind of like reminded me of the movie Ghost, but not exactly. And it has Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay.
Came out in 2005, and it's a movie called Just Like Heaven, right?
Right.
So this movie is like interesting because this girl gets in a car accident and she's in a coma, but for some reason her spirit kind of just lurks in her apartment where someone else has moved in, and she's kind of like wondering why is he there, and he's wondering why is she there, but he's the only one that can see her. So this falls under the romantic comedy kind of subdivision, and I just love it. I love Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo. He's just so cute and he's so funny. So this is why this movie made it onto my top favorite movies of all time. You know?
Nice. Yeah, I was actually considering this movie, so I was kind of close to including it on mine too. So, but I like this
Oh,
movie. So yeah, I like this movie. Well, quite a lot actually, enough to have considered it. So, if it was a top
okay,
20, it would be my top 20. But
okay.
okay, but my number
Seven,
seven
Titanic.
is Titanic. So Um, I mean that one's a classic and everything. So not much to be said except like
Are
yeah.
you on seven? Because I'm
Yes.
on five. I will be
Oh
on
wow.
five.
Okay, let me because let's see how we're doing. Okay, because my how many have you said?
Well, I said Clueless,
Uh
and
huh.
I said 51st Dates, Gone
You
with the Wind,
you
Just Like Heaven,
but you
and
didn't
that's where
say
I'm at.
you didn't say 50 for states.
Oh, didn't I?
No.
Okay, so I must have skipped one.
Yeah.
So I'm even more behind than you are, I guess.
Well, because I'm going from down up, right? I'm going because I'm on seven. This is my seventh one.
Okay, so after Clueless, I should have said 51st Date, which is the one with Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore. That's a 2004 movie, and I really love the way that they are together. And like I said in the past, in another show, um, they just are a great couple when it comes to chemistry. And like, I was almost wanting to pick The Wedding Singer to be on this list, but I'm like, I already have them here already, so 51st Dates is one of my other movies.
Okay.
So
No.
yeah, you next.
So I was my
Eight, seven.
so Titanic is my seven, which I talked about already. Do you want me to go to my six?
You know what? Titanic is also on one of my movies that I have also. So I'll just mention that this is the movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet came out in 1997 when I was in high school. And I just remember that my friends were watching this movie like over and over at the movie
Yeah.
theaters. And of course, at that time, everyone was in love with Leonardo DiCaprio. I wasn't in love with him necessarily, but I just remember that this story was just like heartbreaking and it was good and it had everything that makes a good love story. So,
Right,
yeah, I
right.
agree with you on that one.
Yeah, and if you see memes nowadays, they say like, "Oh, the door was like actually wide enough for Leonardo DiCaprio to have fit," you know. So kind of one of those things that it's become a meme also. You know what I mean? Like at the very ending, where like he's like dying, but now they're saying like, "Oh, you know that door was actually like, or that what they were floating on was actually large enough for him to have actually climbed on." So it's become kind of a
Mm-hmm.
funny thing. And you mentioned 51st States. That's also in my list. So when we get
Oh, so we got two of the same movies. That's pretty good. I
right,
mean,
right.
like wondering if we like the same movies. Yeah, so yeah, we have two at least.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So
okay,
that was my number
you're
7. What's yours? I don't know what number we're on now for you.
okay. So, since we both slashed one off our lists, so I'm on what I call number 5, even though, like I said, Titanic was also mine. I have this movie called Me Before You, and I
Hmm.
think it came out in 2016. And I think this is the movie because sometimes there's movies that have the same name with other people, but I think this had Emilia Clarke and Sam Claflin.
Hmm.
Basically, it was like in English actors, like British actors, and it was a movie that like made you laugh, it made you
Mm.
cry. Like I'm not a person that cries in movies, right? Like that's just not me. Like I remember when my sister watched Armageddon, she would cry every time she watched it. And I'm like, you can rewind that movie because it came out during the time when we used to watch VHS. And I'm like, you can rewind the movie and they'll be alive again or whatever. But so I'm not one of those people that cries, but this movie was just, oh my goodness, it had everything, and I just love it. So that would be my other movie that I would have to have on my list, that I do have on my list.
That's awesome. Yeah, I've seen that movie. I liked it also. And she's very famous from Game of Thrones. And
Okay.
he was actually in the Hunger Games. He was one of the he was one of the characters there in the Hunger Games. So it's kind of like so that coming into it knowing that I like that movie. And then well the story itself, it's a very it
Mhm.
doesn't end the way you would think, because like you were saying, it's not like it's got an ending
Yeah.
that it's not right. I don't want to ruin it, right? But yeah, it's not
No.
typical or traditional, even in the sense
No.
of the romance itself. So for sure,
Right.
that's a movie to for sure check out. My
Uh-huh.
next movie
Absolutely.
would be
6. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, and this
Oh,
one.
that has Carrie in it, doesn't it?
Yes, Jim Carrey, and he's not funny. I don't know if you would think he's funny either, but I don't know because you haven't seen Dumb and
Tried
Dumber.
watching that movie. I tried watching that movie once and I was like, I think I felt like drunk watching that movie. Like, I don't
Uh,
know if I finished watching it or maybe I'll watch it now because I saw that that made other lists too. But yeah, okay, tell us more.
okay, so the plot is that it's a couple that has broken up, and where they live or at the time they live, there's technology that can actually erase people's memories of like past relationships. So his
Hmm.
which I think it's Kate Winslet, she goes in and she gets that treatment. So she gets her memory of him erased, and when he finds out about it, I guess he's upset too, and he wants to do the same thing. So he goes and he gets his memories erased of their whole relationship.
Mhm.
So the movie kind of goes back and forth between their relationships or their memories, and it's like it's a movie that makes you think. It's kind of like
Oh,
would you like if you had a like let's say you were in a like you love somebody but the it ended and it hurt you a lot and you wanted to like would you rather forget everything and not feel anything, or would you rather have felt the feelings you felt but still remember? It's kind of one of those things. So it makes you think in that aspect. So that's why I kind of like it. And also Jim Carrey isn't Jim Carrey. He's kind of more he's serious. It's a serious role, not like the goof that he is in other movies. So yeah.
maybe I need to watch it again now that I understand what
Hmm.
it's about. Because I think like you kind of have your ideas about certain actors and then
Hmm.
you're like, nah.
Yeah.
But anyway, it does sound interesting because maybe it wasn't that movie that I saw that I'm but it sounds interesting the way that you're describing it. So maybe it's worth looking into. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, so I would, I guess, try it out.
And what's your next one then?
Okay, so this movie came out in 1999. It has Michael Vartan and Drew Barrymore, and it is called Never Been
Hmm.
Kissed. So I have that movie and I've seen it a couple times. Like well, I mean it's one of those movies that I can watch like again and again, and that's why it's made it onto my list. And like I don't know, I just like the premise of it. She's like I think I believe like a writer, and then she has to go into this high school pretending to be a high schooler, but of course when she was in high school, she was not one of the in crowd, and she didn't fit in. So, she's kind of afraid of going into this, and she kind of falls in love with a teacher that works there, but she's supposed to be pretending to be a student. And I don't know, I just think there's something about it, and I just love Drew Barrymore in like these kind of movies.
Hmm.
Like I think she was great in the romantic kind of movies and that sort of thing. So this made it on my list because I thought it was great and I still watch it over and over again. So,
That's interesting.
no.
Yeah. And then the
Yeah.
premise, the premise kind of sounds
Uh,
like 21 Jump Street or 22 Jump Street. I don't know if you've seen. Well, 21 Jump Street mainly, like where they're kind of cops and they have to go to high school and pretend to be high school students. It's kind of like, I don't know, like a
Yeah.
ridiculous kind of premise. So
I
that's
kind of
funny.
remember that old show and stuff, but yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's an interesting idea anyway, you know?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Right. Well, it was the old show, and then they made a remake. Well, they made the show into a movie, and that was Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill, and it was like a comedy, and
Okay.
it came out a few years ago. But it was, I mean, it's funny. It's my turn,
Oh.
right? So, my next movie would
5.
be
A Walk to Remember.
A Walk to Remember is my number five, and this,
Oh, a tragic Nicholas Sparks
yes,
movie.
another one, right? So you can kind of if you already like, I think, but by this point, you people didn't really know like too much about Nicholas Sparks yet, so they're kind of like, okay. But now you kind of have the
Yeah.
heads up, like, oh, it's gonna be a sad movie or a sad book or whatever. So you kind of like have that, kind of like M Night Shyamalan. You always know like, oh, he's gonna have a twist or try to have a twist, right? So, but yeah, this it's kind of like you with Titanic. Well, same with me and Titanic. It's kind of when I was like younger, and it's one of those movies that kind of was part of my youth, I guess. And it was like I remember going to the theater for it, and Drew, what's her name, Mandy Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so she was I mean, she was a big deal when I was a teenager, and the story
Mm-hmm.
itself, just the popular kid or the popular person in school, and then he kind of sees like someone who's not popular, very conservative, and then you know like it's
Yeah,
kind of
because in the movie, she says to him, "Okay, there's one thing you just can't fall in love with me," and he's kind
exactly.
of like, "Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
right.
that's
No
not gonna
problem.
be a
Yeah, no
problem,"
problem. Cause
because he's in the in crowd and
yeah,
she's just one of the quiet kids, and he's kind of like, "Yeah, that's not
yeah,
gonna happen,"
and not just that, but she kind of dresses like a grandma, like very like conservative, very like she's very, and she's the daughter of a pastor or a preacher. So, and there's a story too that I don't know if I could even say it because it's been so old. I feel like I could just say it, but if you don't want me to, I just won't say what the deal is. But if you want, you could just go to your movie.
Oh, you mean you're like a person that ruins the ends of
Yes,
movies?
yeah, because it's been so long,
Yeah,
I kind
my
of can't
mom,
help
my
it.
mom is so like that. I've
Yeah,
seen this movie and she tells you like, and I'm just like, okay, now I don't have to
yeah,
watch it now that
right,
you've just ruined it for me. But
yeah,
she just loves ruining ends to like
yeah.
movies and stuff.
But I
I'm
feel that
like,
it's been like so many years that people could have already watched it. So I kind of like there's like a
what?
certain
I mean, there's a lot of movies I'm sure that are old that you haven't seen yet
right,
either. So
and I don't
yeah.
mind. It's my fault for not watching it. Is what I'm saying. Like if you're in it, it's my fault for not watching it. So I was like, I could just tell you this happens at the
No,
end,
no, no, no,
right? But
no. Yeah,
I'm
it's
not
not
gonna do
always your
that.
fault. It's just
Yeah,
that
I'm not
there's
gonna do
so
that.
many movies that you just
Right,
don't get to them for one
right.
reason or another.
Exactly,
So,
exactly. Well, go ahead and yours. I'm not gonna spoil anything, which I'm not. So
okay, so I mean, this one is an older movie. It's 1953 and it has Gregory Peck and Audrey Hepburn because I love the old classics, but I'm still not going to ruin the ending in
okay.
case people haven't seen it. But it's just, I love Audrey Hepburn, and of course, I've said like that I just love Gregory Peck's voice. He just has like, anyway, moving on from that. Like this is just a great movie. Like it's not what you think, how you think it's gonna be, and it's just they have good chemistry. And it's just a like I don't know, like it doesn't end exactly how you think. Like I don't know how you think it'll end, basically.
What's the
But
movie
if you
called?
watch, huh?
What's the movie
What's
called?
the? It's Roman Holiday.
Oh,
It's
okay.
like old classic, and it's just one of those movies that is just like sweet and just makes you think and ponder, like really, if this happened in real life, like I guess it has to end this way, you know.
Mm,
But then at the same time, things would have been different. Like how, like would it have worked out, you know?
right. That's
I
interesting.
don't know. You just have to watch it. I can't say too much about it because I think it would ruin it. But
Oh, okay.
it's good. It's great, you know.
Okay. I'm
So
interested. I'm interested. Sounds good.
I loved it. So
Okay.
yeah, what's next for you?
4. 51st dates.
Okay. So I don't know if you mentioned the 51st Dates, which you
Did
did.
I mentioned Drew
Yeah.
Barrymore
Mhm.
and Adam Sandler? You know,
Mhm.
that's one of my
Yeah.
favorites.
So that's why I don't really feel I have to. I guess I could do my next one since you already kind of talked about that one.
Yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
can.
So I'm going out three now.
3. The Notebook.
Okay.
The Notebook. So it's mine's full of Nicholas Sparks
Yes,
books.
I have. That was my next movie as well. So I guess
Okay.
we can talk about it
Yeah. There
together.
we go.
So tell me why you loved it.
Well, I read the book after I saw the movie, and it was a little different, like just a few things here and there, but overall, just the whole story. And well, off the bat, I would say the Rachel McAdams is one of my favorite actresses. I think I had mentioned that last time too. So just Rachel
Mhm.
McAdams in it is really is awesome. And then Ryan Gosling is a good actor, and just the fact that they were dating, in spite of this movie, because remember we were talking about it last time how like the tabloids were saying that they hated each other during this movie, but then they were dating. So it's kind of like
Yep.
one of those love hate things, I guess. So, but the story
Mhm.
itself, how like they're kind of like from different side of the tracks. Like she's a rich girl, and he's like not that, and just how they kind of like come together and time passes, and just one of those
Yeah.
things. What help me out here?
Okay, so The Notebook came out in 2004, and obviously it's a Nicholas Sparks movie. And yes, I love Ryan Gosling, so that's one reason why I loved it too. And even though supposedly they had like a love-hate relationship in real life, they didn't get along. I think they, of course, had great chemistry in the
Yes.
movie, and that's the reason why most of us love it. And I did not read The Notebook, but I read the book that follows it by
Okay.
Nicholas Sparks, and it's called The Wedding. So when I was reading The Wedding, which is a great book, by the way, I kind of was like, wait, what? Because they make mention of certain
Mm-hmm.
things from like the
The Notebook,
Notebook, kind
right?
of, like, and I'm like, wait, like he's still alive or whatever, because the movie made it more sentimental and
Yeah.
made it like just so that it would end like this. I think there's a song by Mark Schultz or
Mm-hmm.
somebody that reminds me of how this movie ended, right?
Yes.
And so then that's why I was like, it didn't end like how the movie ended. But so yeah, I love the movie, and I also like love the book that follows the actual Notebook book, like
Right.
The Wedding. It's a great book.
Yeah.
So
That's interesting.
yeah, it's on my list.
Same here.
Def-
So do we? I don't know what my next one is, but let's see what mine is, and then if not, we'll see. Okay, this is my next one. This is my number two, I think.
2. The Wedding Singer.
Well, two is The Wedding Singer, which kind of you omitted because you had already another Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore movie.
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
Yes, but I love that
yeah,
movie.
and this is my number two. So, so we can
Okay.
both talk about The Wedding Singer then, and then I'll ask you what yours was. The next one. Well,
Mhm.
yeah, like you said earlier, their chemistry is just awesome. They have really good chemistry. That's why they've been in three movies, at least three movies together.
I
So
think four, and I haven't seen two of them. And the
yeah,
thing is, so funny together. And I think we need to watch the other two movies that
uh
we
huh.
haven't seen.
Yeah, well,
You know?
I've seen three. I don't know which the fourth is, but if you can find it and tell me what the fourth is, I'll watch it. Cause I know the
We-
third one is Blended, which
I
I've
looked it
seen.
up one time. I know there's another one, and I don't remember the name, but I'm sure we can find it.
Hmm.
And somehow, some way, there's got to be a way to be able to watch them
Okay,
because they're just.
I'll hold you
I
to
love
it.
them together.
Yeah, I'll hold you to it.
So
So just if you tell me the fourth movie, I'll look it up and find it, and we could do that. But about this one in particular, just I mean the singing it's funny. Like it has so many funny lines in it. It's very rewatchable. Like I could watch this movie anytime really, because of the whole
yep,
story itself, the way they're dressed, the funny
yep.
jokes, the chemistry. The songs, just the songs themselves are very memorable.
Mm.
It's just awesome. Just and it's
I
very like.
know.
Mhm.
It's a feel good movie, even when he's feeling bad.
It's funny. Oh yeah, even when he's singing the horrible song where he hates himself, that's funny too. So it's got a lot of
Oh,
funny stuff. Like it's a classic for sure. And then the song that he sings, "Grow Old with You." I mean that's a song that's also very well memorable to me also because I mean that was when I was in high school. So it's got a lot of awesome qualities to it. So for sure, it's my number two is this one, "The Wedding Singer."
awesome. That's great. I love it. So I have another old movie because I love taking movies from the old vault, I guess you could say, the video vault. I have one from 1965, and I had to include this. It has Christopher Plummer and Julie Andrews, and it's The Sound of Music. Because I think a long
Uh,
time ago I told you that I love movie musicals, and I'm like, wait, I don't have a movie musical in my
uh,
top 10, and I need one. And this, I just think it's such a great classic, and it's it's romantic, like there's a lot to it, but it has the romance too between like Julie Andrews' character and Christopher, you know?
yeah,
So
that's
I
awesome.
have to pick that movie. It's good for the music, it's good for the costumes, it's like great scenery, and it has the romance and the you know how they have the protagonist, like
Hmm.
somebody else might steal the man and or woman, so it has everything. It has
Right.
that too.
That's
So
awesome.
it's a great movie.
How many more do you have left?
I have one more.
Oh,
How about
okay.
you?
I have one more also. Okay, so I'll go to
Okay.
mine.
Mhm.
My number one, and this is in order. It's About Time, or not? It's About Time. It's just About Time, and this one's the one
Okay.
with again, it's Rachel McAdams is the lead, but it kind of focuses more on the male lead, and he's Donnell Gleeson.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't know if you know him too well, but he's like a redhead. I think he's Irish. I'm not too sure, but he's from the UK for sure. And pretty
Okay.
much it's the movie where he like it's kind of like it's romance for sure, but it's kind of like sci-fi romance also because he has the
Okay.
ability to travel like back and forth in time, so he can
I
actually
think
like.
I've
Hmm.
seen this. Yes.
Yes,
Continue.
yeah, yeah, you've seen it. But for me, I don't know. The first time I saw it, I really liked it, and it's a little long, but I could actually rewatch it because this has a lot of. And then just recently, I kind of had checked out the cast of it, and Margot Robbie came out in it. I don't know if you know who she is, Margot Robbie.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay. She's Harley Quinn. She's like the from those movies, but she's become kind of like a big deal. She's become a big deal actually. So it was kind of when she was younger a little bit, or not as well known, but pretty much he can like travel back and forth in like in time or redo a day kind of thing. So he can make it
Uh,
that like he can fix his mistakes, and there's a lot to it. So but it has an actual like
yeah.
very like the relationship between a father and a son is part of it, and that's
Right.
actually a very
Yeah, I'm sure I've seen this movie then.
yeah.
Yes. But I was kind of wondering if I had because I think there's another Rachel McAdams
Yeah,
movie
about
about
time
time
travel.
traveling,
Yeah, and that was
and I don't know if
probably
I've seen that one either. So,
yeah. I've seen them all actually because it's Rachel McAdams. Because the other one, there's a one is called I think it's called Midnight in Paris or something. I
okay,
think
I have not seen that.
and that one's like with Owen Wilson and her. They're the couple in that one, and then the other one's the time traveler's wife. I think the time
Uh-huh.
traveler's wife, and that one's Eric Bana is the time traveler, and she's the wife of Eric Bana, the time traveler. So it's pretty much like in all the movies, like the men she's with are the ones who are traveling in time, and not her. She's always like the spouse of or the one the person's dating at the time or whatever. But yeah, I like those movies really when it comes to time travel stuff like that. It's just kind of interesting to me, and if it's a romance, it just makes it even more interesting. So this movie about time I really enjoyed. And the father and the son part of it did surprise me, and it is actually it does tug at your heartstrings also. So overall, I would like surprisingly this is probably my favorite movie in the romance genre, which is it's kind of not all that well known though, but everyone has their own lists, so my list is different from your list obviously and from other people. So and
Yeah.
there's nothing
Well,
wrong with
we
that.
had some of the same movies, and
Mm-hmm.
I think what appealed to you might appeal to other guys when it comes to the romance genre, which would be like sci-fi romance, you know?
Right.
For some reason, I think guys are more like that's what's more appealing to them, you
Right,
know?
or
It's not
action or
just straight
something.
up almost real life kind of
Yeah,
romance, but
or
it
it's
has a little bit of the sci-fi
yeah,
kind of stuff.
yeah.
So
It's not like
yeah,
Pride
that's
and
cool.
Prejudice. It's not like Pride and Prejudice automatically, because that's like a big deal for women, or for the most part. But yeah, what's your last movie?
Okay, so this one came out in 1995, so again, a little bit older. It has Bill Pullman and Sandra Bullock, and it is While You Were Sleeping.
Okay.
And I just remember when it came out like that many years ago, which was a long time ago. I remember I hadn't seen it, but my best friend, one of my best friends had, and she was describing like the whole movie to me
Hmm.
without spoiling the end. She's like, "You have to watch this movie." And so of course I watched it and I think it's a great movie cuz like it's just Sandra Bullock is so funny and she just knows how to do comedy,
Right.
so it's kind of like a romantic comedy and it's just so funny and it's just one of those movies that you can watch over and over again and I'm glad that I own it because that means I can watch it over and over again.
No, that's awesome.
And it's great. I think like guys would love it too because I think rom-coms also work for guys to watch,
Hmm.
and they are not bored and they're not
Right.
like, "Oh, come on." So
Right. Right.
it's not cheesy, it's not predictable, and it's a rom-com, which are three great reasons to watch this movie and have it on my top 10,
That's awesome.
movies of all time. So,
Right. No, it's a good one.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
what would you say would you, like? I mean, because you didn't do it in order, but if you had a number one, like which would it be of your 10? What would be your favorite if you had to rank it?
Oh, don't ask me to
Oh,
pick. That's
okay.
not
All right.
fair.
All right. I'll give you a chance for next time, maybe. Uh, but I mean, that was it pretty much. Is there anything you want to say, or? Well, the thing I would say is just
Oh,
like I said earlier, it's just like our top 10 is just our preferences, and everybody's different. So it'd be kind of interesting if you yourself were to kind of write down a top 10 of your romantic movies that you like, and I don't know, share it with your friends or your family and see what they think, because I'm sure everybody has different top 10s in their list.
oh, for sure. Everyone does. And the thing is, the reason why I don't think I can pick is because, like I said, my movies that I picked are all different kinds. They're rom-coms, historical romance. I don't think I have any sci-fi on my group or anything. But
Right.
there's so many different ways that romantic movies can go. And for me, I pick the ones, or I like the ones that are not like super predictable or super cheesy, right?
Right.
It has to have a little bit more flesh, and that's the reason like why I picked most of the movies that are on my list. So,
Yeah.
like you said, everyone has their own opinions about what they like, but we hope that we have given you more ideas about movies that you either have not watched in a long time or may have missed. And with us giving you these ideas, hopefully you can start afresh and maybe even have your top 10 and or you can just be like, "Okay, I got to watch this too because that movie sounds really good." So, it's been good talking about romantic movies with you, Luis, because like I said, I didn't know what guys thought
Or like
about
it's
romantic movies,
like right.
and I guess we ended up with some of the same ones, so that's
Yeah.
pretty cool too.
Oh yeah, because I actually like romantic movies, so that's it wasn't like too hard to watch them, so but yeah.
Uh,
Right, awesome. But we'll catch you next time. We'll chat later.
yeah, until next time.